Page 1. I am here. Where is here? Where are you? Where do you live? Who are you? What is your name? Page 2. I am here is the first statement in English Through Pictures, Book 1, EP 1. That book uses about 500 words of English in a great number of different ways. Using those same words, together with about the same number of new words and more pictures, this book, EP 3, goes farther into the language. This new book uses about 1,000 words of English. Page 3. Are you a man or a woman, or a girl or a boy? What is your country? Is the country where you live now the country of your birth? Do you see on this page a map of the country where you live? Is it Germany, the Philippines, Brazil, Australia, Kenya, or some other country? There are millions of readers of EP 1. The book is used in almost every country. Page 4. What is your name? The man on the right asks. The other man answers, My name is Jean Schmidt. Where do you come from? What is the country of your birth? Where were you born? These are different ways of asking the same question. Geneva, Switzerland, answers Jean Schmidt. Have you any relations in this country? Yes, I have one, my uncle. My father's brother lives in Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Page 5. When were you born? Give me the date of your birth. What is your age? I was born on January 10th, 1970. I am 35 years old. When were you at school? How long were you there? How many years were you at school? I was at school 8 years. What work do you do? What is your occupation? I am a cook. Page 6. Here are some people of different countries. This is a Japanese girl. She lives in Japan. Japan is her country. She is Japanese. This is an Indian boy. He lives in India. India is his country. Are you Japanese, Chinese, German, French, Polish, Swiss? What is your country? Page 7. Here are some people who live in the United States of America, the USA. The fathers and mothers of these people went to the USA from England, France, China, Japan, Italy, Switzerland, Poland, Russia, and other countries. Some of them sailed there in sailing ships before the days of steamships. Now the sons and daughters live in the USA, and most of them are Americans. Some of them were born in the USA. They got their start in America, but they have many relations in the old country. Page 8. Japan and India and China are parts of Asia. Germany, Italy, and France are in Europe. In all these countries, there are many people. In some countries, there is very little land for the size of the population. Europe has less land than Canada, and not much more than the USA, but it has a population more than 15 times as great as Canada's. And the numbers keep going up. Between 1850 and 1950, more than 30 million people went from Europe to live in the USA, but the population of Europe in 1954 was greater than the populations of North and South America together. Page 9. There were 25 million more people in Europe in 2004 than there were 50 years before. The increase in population in 50 years was 25 million. Europe increased her population by 25 million in the last 50 years. Today, there are over 475 million people in Europe. This map gives a picture of the number of people in each country of Europe in 2004. Page 10. This is a picture of the increasing population of the United States in only 100 years. One person in the picture represents 20 million people. This picture is a graph. This graph lets us see relations between times and numbers of people in the 100 years from 1900 to 2000. Page 11. This map gives a picture of the population in the different states of the United States of America in 2000. The scale of the map is the same as that used for Europe on page 9. If you look at the two, you will see that the USA is not much smaller than all of Europe. Page 12. Which are the countries with the most people in them? China, India, the USA, and Indonesia all have populations of over 200 million. Some countries have less room in them than these four, but these have the greatest populations. It is not good for a country if it does not have enough room for all its people. A person who does not have enough room to live in may not be able to keep well. Page 13. The population of the earth has increased more than the amount of food. There is a great need for more food. More than 1 billion people on the earth today need more food than they can get. They cannot get enough food to keep them well and strong. The relation between amount of food and size of population has been changing. Page 14. There were more than twice as many people in the world in the year 1900 as in 1700. There were more than twice as many in 2000 as in 1900. Will the population of the world go on increasing? Look at the curve in this picture. The increase since 2000 makes it look that way. The world population in 2004 was 6,396,000,000. In the last 4 years, the increase has been almost 300 million. Page 15. There were over 6,100,000,000 people in the world in 2000. Over 1 billion of them could not get as much food as they needed. Many of them, because of this, are not healthy. There are some people everywhere who take more food than is good for them, but many more get less than they need. People are asking one another what the world population will be in 2050 if it goes on increasing like this. It will be very great. It will be much greater in some parts of the world than in others. Some people say it will be between 9 and 10 billion, and some that it may be as much as 20 billion. Page 16. Over 500 million people on Earth today live in cities. Some cities have many more people in them than some countries have. There are over 100 cities in the world which have over 2 million people in them. Cities have been increasing in size in our time. Before the 20th century, it was hard for the people in a great city to get enough food. On the next page, you will see the names of 20 cities in the world with more than 3 million people in each. Page 17. Cities of the world with population of over 11 million in 2004. 1. Tokyo, Japan, 29,900,000. 2. Mexico City, Mexico, 27,800,000. 3. Sao Paulo, Brazil, 25,300,000. 4. Seoul, South Korea, 21,900,000. 5. Shanghai, China, 17 million. 6. New York, United States, 16,300,000. 7. Bombay, India, 15,300,000. 8. Beijing, China, 14,600,000. 9. Los Angeles, United States, 14,300,000. 10. Osaka, Japan, 14,300,000. 11. Tehran, Iran, 14,200,000. 12. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 14,100,000. 13. Calcutta, India, 14,100,000. 14. Buenos Aires, Argentina, 12,900,000. 15. Manila, Philippines, 12,800,000. 16. Jakarta, Indonesia, 12,800,000. 17. Lagos, Nigeria, 12,500,000. 18. Cairo, Egypt, 12,500,000. 19. Delhi, India, 11,800,000. 20. Karachi, Pakistan, 11,300,000. Today, more than half the population of the world is made up of people living in great cities. Page 18. This city has great buildings, some of which have machines in them for doing many sorts of work by steam or electric power. These are factories. One of them is a factory where furniture is made. In it, workers make tables and chairs in great numbers. Page 19. We are living at a time when machines do work which workers used to do. Now materials and things of all sorts can be transported long distances quickly. Its transport lines are very important to any great city. Materials such as iron, which is mined from the earth in some places, and steel, which is made from iron, are used to make machines. Iron and steel are metals. Page 20. It is only in the last 2 centuries that great numbers of people have been able to live far from their food supply, with thousands of people in one place doing the same sort of work. High buildings like those pictured on the next page are being put up in more and more great cities today, in greater and greater numbers. They are apartment houses which sometimes have hundreds of different families living under one roof. There may be as many as 20 or 30 floors in one apartment house, with homes for 15 or 20 families on a floor. Page 21. Hundreds of families may make their homes in one apartment house. In these stores, people who live in the city can buy food, clothing, and supplies of everything they need. Some stores sell food, some sell clothing, and some sell furniture. In most cities, there are great stores which sell almost everything. They supply these families with what they need. Page 22. People in apartment houses have no place to keep a supply of food. They may have enough food in an ice box to take them through a day or two, but on most days, they buy meat and milk and fruit and other things they need from a store near their home. Many families have supplies of milk and other food sent to their houses every day. People with children in the family may buy 4 or 5 quarts of milk at a time. Here is a family with 5 persons in it: a husband, a wife, and their 3 children. The man is the woman's husband, and she is his wife. They have been married 10 years. Page 23. A milkman put the milk outside their door in the early morning. Milkmen started their work in a great city before it was light. In some parts of the world, milk is measured in gallons. Milk is put up in pint and quart bottles or in cartons. In other parts of the world, Milk is measured in liters. A liter is a little more than a quart. Page 24. In some factories, food is put into cans. It is canned. These are machines in a canning factory. Most foods today can be bought in cans. Food stores sell canned soups, meats, fruit, and vegetables. Food is canned to keep it from the air. When air can get at it, it quickly goes bad if it is not kept very cold. Canned food that has gone bad is a poison. Bad food is very bad for people. It poisons them. If they take much of it, they may die. After a person dies, he is dead. Page 25. People can have only a few cans of meat and fruit and other things on hand, as we say, on their shelves. They may have a cupboard with 2 or 3 shelves of canned food, but most people have no room for more than that. If supplies do not come into the city day by day, their supply of canned food is quickly used up. Many solid and liquid foods are kept in cans. Gas for cooking can be canned and piped to the gas cooker from the can for use. Page 26. Some people working in cities have no time or place to cook for themselves. Many of them go out to restaurants for all of their meals. There are many restaurants in a great city, all needing supplies of food every day, and some of them cooking for great numbers of people. A good restaurant keeps its food clean and does not let flies get at it. If flies get on food, they may poison it. Page 27. Here is a supply of meat, vegetables, milk, butter, cheese, bread, fruit, and eggs, enough for a family of 4 persons for one day in North America. If people do not get enough food of the right sorts, they will not keep well. They will not be able to work or play well. Fresh food must be supplied to a city day by day. It will not keep good very long if it is open to the air. If uncovered, it may get flies on it. Flies get on dirty things. Their dirty feet make food dirty. Canned food will keep good for a long time. It can be stored. Page 28. Grain and meat and milk and fruit and vegetables must be transported into the cities of the world day and night all through the year to feed its city populations. Much of this food comes great distances in ships, trains, or trucks and must be kept cold and clean all the way. Today, some of it is transported by plane. This is a bag of grain. Page 29. The 19 million people in and near New York City in 2004, to give one example, were drinking 7 million quarts of milk a day from more than 1 million cows on 50,000 farms, some of them hundreds of miles away. The price of a bottle of milk in the city is more than twice as much as the farmer gets for it. The milk must be kept clean and cold and put into bottles and taken to the stores and houses in the city. City governments see that milk is kept clean and has enough butter fat in it. Some city-born children have never seen a cow and have to be taught where milk comes from. Page 30. Milk is the best food there is for babies. It is good for children and for older people too. It has in it fat, which gives energy, and it has the most important of the materials needed for building up our bodies. Milk makes strong bones and strong teeth too. It is good for a child to drink 2 or 3 glasses of it every day. In addition, milk has in it most of the vitamins which are needed to keep us healthy. Vitamins are a discovery of the 20th century. 200 years ago, no one knew anything about them. Page 31. The vitamins are named by letters of the alphabet. Vitamin A is needed by the eyes. There is vitamin A in milk, butter, and green vegetables. It can be stored by the body. Vitamin B cannot be stored. It must be supplied all the time by some of the food we eat. The skins of grain of all sorts have vitamin B in them. Page 32. Vitamin C is very important to the body. Without it, our teeth become loose and our arms and legs weak. Lemons, oranges, and tomatoes have vitamin C in them. Vitamin D is the sun vitamin. We get it in milk and eggs and from sunlight on our skin. There are other vitamins, but these, A, B, C, and D, are the most important. Page 33. Every person must have air and water and food to keep alive and must have these vitamins to keep well. How do we know this? How do we know what food keeps us well and healthy? We know from the effects on us and on animals of going without one sort of food or another. That is how we see which foods give us energy, which make us fat, and which make us able to keep healthy. Scientists are putting together more and more knowledge about the sorts and amounts of food that our bodies need. Too little food or too much of the wrong food is bad for a person. The right amount of the food will keep a person feeling well and strong. Some people need a little more or a little less of one or another sort of food than others. Page 34. Where do we get our food? We get much of it from the earth. We use some sorts of animals and birds to give us food. Great parts of the earth are covered with grass, a plant which grows with narrow green leaves and puts down roots quickly. There are more than 3,000 different sorts of grasses growing. Grass has very small seeds, which are used as food by birds and small animals. We have discovered how to grow grasses with larger seeds. Wheat, rice, corn, and other grains come from grass. The grainlands of the world have been planted by people. From grain, we get an important part of the food that gives us energy. Page 35. The grasslands of the earth supply food to many different animals. From some of them, we get meat and milk. From milk, we make butter and cheese and other foods. From birds living on grain, we get eggs and meat. Seeds planted in good earth supply grains and fruits and vegetables of many sorts. The seas and rivers supply fish, and some sea plants for food. Page 36. People had to go from place to place for food until they discovered how to grow grain. Uncooked meat and parts of plants were all they had to eat until they made use of fire. And they had to get new supplies of food every day. They hadn't any way of keeping it good. How could a family get enough good food for itself without having to go looking for it every day? When a family started growing grain, it had time to do other things than get food day by day. It could keep a supply of grain on hand through the winter until the next spring. It could make a home for itself and keep animals for its use. Page 37. Bread, which is made from flour, supplies us with energy and is the chief food of many people. A small amount of seed planted in the earth can grow great amounts of good grain. A good farmer in a good wheat-growing part of Canada, for example, will get as much as 30 or 40 pounds of grain for every pound of seed he puts into the earth. Farmers grow grain for public use. They get money for it. In Eastern countries, more rice is eaten than wheat. Page 38. If there were enough good food in every country every day for every person, would the world be a better place than it is? We say, if there were enough food, not, if there is enough food, because there is not enough, and we know it. We say, if there were something in this hand, you would see it, because we know that there is nothing in the hand. But with this hand, which is shut, we say, "If there is something in this hand, you will see it." Now the hand is open. There is something in it, and you do see it. Page 39. If we ask the question, if there were enough good food for everybody, would the world be a better place? Some people would answer, yes, the world would be a better place. Others would say, no, nobody would do any work. The world would be a worse place. And some others would say something like this: that is a strange question to ask when so many people in the world today do not get enough food. There will be time to answer your question when we have grown enough food for everybody. What would your answer be? Page 40. Why do people work? Do they work only for their private needs, because of their need for homes and food and clothing for themselves and their families? Why do some people work when they have enough of all these things? Do they work for pleasure? Because making things, for example, gives them pleasure? Do some of them work for the public good? Why are some people happier when they are working? Isn't work one of their needs? Why do you work? Do you need to work to be happy? Do we know one another's needs? Aren't we in the dark about some of them? Page 41. If all the people alive on the earth today were hand in hand like this, the line they would make would go much more than 50 times round the earth. The line of people would go out to the moon and back 5 times. It would be long enough to do that. But there isn't a line of people which goes out to the moon and back. And the people of the earth aren't hand in hand. Far from it. That is why we said were, not are, and they would go, not they go. We say, if the angles in this triangle are equal, then the sides will be equal. But we say, if the angles in this triangle were equal, the sides would be equal. Page 42. People are not hand in hand, but their minds today are being put increasingly into touch with one another through reading and writing and in many other ways. We are in touch with other people everywhere through pictures of them. Newspapers and television give us photographs of almost everything. The faces of important people can be seen by the public everywhere. Before 1800, nobody could take photographs. Nobody had had the idea of using the knowledge of how light is bent by glass to make pictures. Here is a camera which is taking a picture of a man. You will see that the picture inside the camera is upside down. Page 43. Another way in which people are getting to know more about one another is through the radio. Words were first sent from one place to another by telephone more than 100 years ago. A word can now go by telephone from the Atlantic to the Pacific in 1/12 of a second. A telephone needs wires, but the radio, which came into use almost 100 years ago, can send sounds any distance without wires. Television, TV, which is one of the great new powers, for good or bad, of our time, lets a public person talk to millions while they sit in their private home seeing the person as if standing right there in front of them. Page 44. But people can't know what any person is saying if they don't know the language. Up to 100 years ago, few people needed to learn foreign languages because not many people went into foreign countries. Now, the need to learn other people's languages is becoming greater every day.